Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we are taking a look at the latest and last of the Maker's Mark wood finishing series, the 2023 limited release BEP. Now we've seen the SE4X something something and the RC6. We've seen the BRT series last year, which you did not hear me talk about. We saw the FAE series. So we've seen several things in the Maker's Mark limited runs. One of the more accessible limited releases that we see every year, and a really affordable price point as well. And I'm not generally a humongous fan of the Maker's Mark products, and especially the limited releases. There's always been kind of a little something about them that still doesn't quite kind of turn me into a Maker's fan, if you will. Is that going to change with the 2023? Let's find out here on this video. Before we go any further, if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let me know if you're enjoying the content that I'm bringing here so we can continue to grow the channel. 2023. Let's go ahead and dive in while we talk about this product a little bit. So again, this is the last of the series. This is 10 toasted virgin American oak staves. We saw this also. I can't quite tell what exactly is taking place in these. Sometimes it talks about it put together some unique staves in order to recreate the barrel entry product. And we saw that in the BRT language as well. They pulled for the BRT 01, 10 virgin American oak staves as well to mimic some of the hotter placement in the rick house. And then the BRT 02, they had the 10 toasted virgin and French oak staves that they used to kind of mimic the lower floors of the rick house and their flavor profile. Now those came out very close to, or I got to try them very close to the end of the year, so they didn't make any year wrap-ups of mine. You didn't see any videos of those, and I'll reference them here in a little bit when we're talking about this product. But we are gonna dive right on in to this 2023 barrel entry proof. And if you can go ahead and see, there is nothing too crazy here on the color and nothing too crazy here with the legs as well. We are looking at a product that is 55.35% or 110.7 proof. Let's dive right on into the nose here. Man, and it is very crisp and very sweet, honestly. It leads with three very specific flavors: caramel apple, kind of like a donut shop or walking into a donut shop, and then that warm toasted oak. Now that's by no means all encapsulating the flavors. There's a lot going on here. That's the most simple way to say it, but man, there's a lot of confectiony sweet flavors here. Sugar daddy candies, salted caramel, fresh pralines. There's a place that I'd go to in Charleston, South Carolina with my wife's family. And as you walk in there, fresh pralines are kind of being cooked. You smell that here. An elephant ear with powdered sugar. Again, very fresh, so it's warm. The powdered sugar is melting, kind of getting sticky. That kind of fresh but warm powdered sugar, sweet, confectiony smell. Dried cherry, green apple, and a little bit of antique leather and charred oak. Let's go ahead and dive in on the palate. Very buttery, very inviting. There's a lot more baking spice to the palate than you would have been led to believe from the nose. It's still sweet. It's crisp, like biting into a fresh green apple. The middle, it's more of a cooked caramel or some toasted vanilla. And then you kind of notice the wood sugars, the wood kind of charredness coming into play. The longer you let this sit open, so we're talking 10, 15 minutes maybe after being poured into the glass, you might get some old oak notes, which is kind of in the camp that I really enjoy. But again, they're subtle and they only come out if it's been in the glass for a little bit of time. I wouldn't call this an overly complex pour, but it might be the best of the Maker's expressions that I've had. Let's quickly visit the other two just to kind of get some baseline if you're used to maybe the last tasting you've had is of the BRT series. So when I had these, the BRT 01 is the one that I thought I enjoyed the most at first, 109.4 proof. And what I love about this is it has those butterscotchy notes and a little bit of banana to it as well. And don't forget this sort of kind of saturated, kind kind of wine-soaked grape-like note as well. And that kind of tames down as the bottles open. You kind of get more of those butterscotchy sweet tones. Gets away from those adverse flavors that I usually pick up in makers, and I think that's what I appreciate about the BRT series. Let's go ahead and we'll dig into the BRT02. Oh yeah, and the BRT02, I also really enjoyed. I thought maybe it would be super exaggerated from the French oak, and it does have a lot of maple as well. And it says that it has a lot of fruit and chocolate, and I can kind of get the chocolatey-ness. It has kind of these pillowy notes. But for me, it's kind of maple, a little bit of toasted nuts as it finishes. Neither of them overly complex either. And honestly, leading up to this, I think the FAE02 might have been my favorite. But there was still, for all the good flavors that it had, there was a little bit of something I couldn't get over on the palate. But not only that, I feel like I just kept putting it against other pours that just outshined it. And I think that's usually what I run into when it comes to these makers. But again, very low price point, very easy to find. Let's go back one more time to this BEP. Just loving how crisp and sweet that note is. You might want to look for that. Again, all these wood series kind of offer you a little something different. So depending on what you're looking for, there might be ones that you lean towards more. And part of the reason maybe why I don't love the wood finishing series so much is that I also really like the picks that come out. So groups go, they can kind of pick a combination of staves. And I think that you find marriages of some of the flavors that are in these specific bottles in picks that your store or group near you might be coming out with at any given point of time in the year. And they're also really enjoyable, really affordable picks to at least pick up or to try. But these do offer something really interesting. I forget the RC6 and maybe some of those before that, but the FAE02 at least had a lot of really dark, kind of heavier, maybe a little bit more oaky, mature flavors to it with some deep, dark fruits. Again, when it comes to these BRT02s, they're very sweet, one leaning a little bit more butterscotchy, the other one leaning a little bit more mapley. And then as we get to this barrel entry proof, clean, fresh fruit, a lot of good sweetness, matched with spice, and then kind of easing into some of the oaky, leathery, charred notes that I tend to find in other pours. All in all, really enjoy this product. Again, probably my favorite of the Maker's Mark limited series so far. Maybe not, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. As of right now, favorite of the series. But let me know what your favorites have been down in the comments below. If you've tried the barrel entry proof, let me know what your experience has been with it. If you've had others in the wood finishing series, I'd love to hear what you all have been enjoying. Leave me some comments down below and let's interact about these. Thanks so much for tuning in to another video again, guys. And let me know if there's other things you want to hear me talk about in future videos here on the show. I want to know that I'm bringing out things that you're interested in hearing me talk about. Thanks again as always, and until next time, we'll see you all later.